Expired in August of 2012. First of all, I know it may not be obvious, but I'm not a therapist. Even though some of you guys think I am. I see your DMs. I'm also not an expert. I sure like to act like I'm one, but I'm not. It's really hard for me to come to terms with. Before you get all pissed off and run to the comments section, you could be in the best little age gap relationship ever. Like, I am so happy for you. And I wish you nothing but the best and happiness. I'm talking about my opinions, my thoughts on this topic, and that's because it's my channel. Anyway, if you guys don't stop fighting, I swear to God. I'm trying to make videos so that I can afford feeding you guys. Also in this video, I'm mainly going to be talking about heterosexual couples, not because I am a heterosexual supporter. I would never be that, but just because most of the examples that I found of age gap relationships, and especially in Hollywood, are of heterosexual couples. We live in a society where it's better for women to look younger and younger and younger, and women's careers in entertainment and business, pretty much any field, are better when you're younger and younger and younger. And it's better to be dated and desired while you're fertile and younger and younger and younger. But men, they're allowed to age. Men are allowed to grow old, become stinky little old men. Men are not shamed for getting little crow's feet. Men are not shamed for going gray. It's actually most of the time called sexy. And honestly, men are not shamed if their partners are younger than their daughters, and also if they were in a band when their partner was born. More on that later. If anything, they're actually kind of encouraged. Men can argue, and men have argued, well, actually, men are biologically... Imagine I have a little fedora. Well, actually, men are biologically attracted to younger women because they're seen as more fertile. However, let's not forget, it's men who have created the beauty standard, not only for men, but for women as well, long ago, encouraging women to look younger and younger and younger, and more fertile for longer. No, your wife suddenly surpassed the age of 30, no longer attracted to her. Don't worry, you can pay over thousands of dollars for procedures while you stress about aging naturally, just for men to want an 18-year-old whose birthday just happened to be yesterday. The topic of aging and like beauty standards and men creating beauty standards is a topic for another day, or you could literally watch any other video essay. That's not even shade. That's just like, it's true. Like, there's so many videos on it and so many good ones. This is the official shaming and booing channel of YouTube, okay? I got a plaque for it last week. I can't show it to you. YouTube said I can. Boo Wednesday. Boo true crime. Boo Jeanette McCurdy's mom. Boo fat phobia. Boo old men. I've been saying that since the start of my channel. No, I'm just kidding. This video is not me shaming age gap relationships, believe it or not. This video, though, is me definitely putting a big fat huh when I see repetitively men going after barely legal women, and sometimes, unfortunately, underage women. And a lot of times in Hollywood. Let's explore it. I wish we didn't have to. Fuck. In case you were not familiar, here's some popular age gap relationships that I recognize the names of. Leonardo DiCaprio and literally anyone. Billie Eilish and Jesse Rutherford, 10 years. Sydney Sweeney and Jonathan Davino, 14 years. Hilaria Baldwin and Alec Baldwin, 26 years. John Stamos and Caitlin McHugh, 22 years. Austin Butler and Kaia Gerber, 10 years. And I would be a big fat hypocrite if I did not mention one of my all-time favorite artists dating much younger women, considering that he made the song Barely Legal, which hurts a lot to listen to now. Julian Casablancas and his girlfriend, 20 years. However, there are also some age gap relationships in which the women are older. I'm actually going to name all of the relationships in the entire world where the woman is older. Okay, so bear with me. Kris Jenner is 25 years older than her boyfriend, Corey Gamble. Kim Kardashian was 13 years older than Pete Davidson. Olivia Wilde is 10 years older than Harry Styles. And Sam Taylor Johnson is 19 years older than Aaron Taylor Johnson. Side eye. Anyway, here's some brain vomit. When I was 17, I remember that I talked to a guy who was 21. Oh. Yeah, looking back on it, I'm like, what the f-? I know compared to like some of these other age gaps, you're like, okay, big deal, like 4 years. But like, I was a child. I was a whole ass teenager. It didn't last long. It literally did not go anywhere. And at the end of it, I felt like I did something so extremely wrong, and I had so much anxiety about talking to an older guy, even though He came to me. When I turned 21, I realized in that moment, holy shit, I would never talk to a 17-year-old romantically at this age. I was in college. I was starting a whole ass career. I was drinking hard kombucha on the internet. What did I really have in common with a high school senior? What do we have in common when all of my friends are like going out to bars and clubs, but not actually because it was COVID, but anyway. And I don't know about you, but in my hometown, the only place that 17-year-olds can really go are like the mall and the parking lot. What parking lot? Any parking lot. That's about it. The only thing him and I were able to talk about were movies, and he had shit taste in movies. One more man tries to tell me to watch Pulp Fiction or Donnie Darko, and I'm gonna end it all. Also, I don't know what it is working in food service, but Chipotle, oh my God, let me tell you about the men there. The men at Chipotle love underage girls. Love them. Love underage girls. Oh my God, they love them so much. They absolutely love them. Love them. I can't emphasize how much they love them. Okay, now time to get serious. Unfortunately, I saw a lot of underage girls and very young girls fall victim to some of these older men. And to be completely honest with you, now today at 23, most of my friends are not in age gap relationships. Actually, most of my friends are not in relationships, and I like it that way. Sorry guys, I like it when you give me all the attention. Sorry. Do you know where I actually do see a lot of age gap relationships? Hollywood. And actually, we see a lot in the films and also real life, which isn't real life, but is real life. You know what I mean? Why do men in Hollywood tend to date younger women? Like much, much younger women. Like if this was real life and not Hollywood, which is not real life, by the way, like it is, but it isn't, which it unfortunately is, but it's also not, you know what I mean? Everyone would be appalled. You know what I mean? Like with some of these age gap relationships, they would be like, where did you even find this person? How do you even know someone in that age range? How do you know them? When I was a kid, I used to sit on the floor of Redner's Warehouse Market and I would read all the tabloid magazines while my mom grocery shopped. It was honestly the best. And I cared a lot about celebrity gossip and news, like way more than the average 8-year-old definitely should. Probably did something up here, stunted it, I don't know. Developmental steps are you supposed to have at 8? Oh, at 8, developmental milestones, having independence from family becomes more important now. See, I skipped that step and now inside my brain, that file is just filled with TMZ. Lindsay Lohan getting a DUI was my own personal 9/11, okay? And in my time on the Redner's floor, I read a lot about celebrity relationships and gossip. Stop fighting! And in my time on the Redner's floor, I read a lot about celebrity relationships and gossip. I know all of the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Aniston lore, and I have probably never watched a movie with any of them in it, and I don't really care to. A lot of buzz about new couples, hot couples, who's having a baby with who, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? Looking back now, when I was like researching for this video, there were so many more age gaps in those couples that I never even like thought twice about because I was just so used to it. I didn't really question age gap relationships until I got older, really. I think when I was like 18, I was like, wait, I don't want anything to do with a 35-year-old, and I don't really want a 35-year-old to want anything to do with me. Age gap relationships were seen as normal, especially in like TV and movies, usually when it was a much older man paired with a much younger woman as a love interest. Silver Linings Playbook, Lost in Translation, Wolf of Wall Street, Suicide Squad, actors being far apart in age, characters being very far apart in age. It was very common. Let's go to momjunction.com, okay? I have never heard of this website because I avoid motherhood like the plague. Living in a neighborhood with like schools in it is like exposure therapy every single day I step out the door. Sometimes the children like come out on like a little rope, like they all have to hold the rope so no one takes them, or I don't know. Yesterday I was walking by school and a few people were like walking by and like looking through the glass and like waving and saying hi to little kids. Like it was like a fucking zoo. And I like fantasized about like going up to the window and going, ooga booga. And that's how I knew that motherhood is not in the cards for me anytime soon or ever. But I was desperate to get into the mind of an older man, which I will never repeat those words ever again. But I wanted to understand, what is the appeal of young girlies? Why do they love us? Why can't they get enough of us? Why are they so obsessed with us? Why won't they leave us alone? Why do older men like younger women? 9 possible reasons. Number 1, they bring out a sense of youth. Number 2, they make them feel wanted. That's just sad. Number 3, they like to guide. I feel like we're talking about literally like a fucking seeing eye dog right now. Number 4, this one's fucked up. They're actually all fucked up. They get a chance to cope with their midlife crisis. I know some people buy cars during that time or like spend a lot of money. But yeah, sure, like let's just get into a relationship with a young person. Anyway, number 5, they're open to experimenting. I don't want to hear more. Number 6, they do not bother about commitment. Number 7, they let their partner pilot the relationship. And number 8, they may want the control. And then below it, it says, related, another article, 8 signs of a controlling relationship. Here's my thing with this. This seems like it's all just using women for men's own personal gain. I feel like this is like a very extremely weird way to view relationships. Oh, my partner lets me walk all over them. They let me use them for my own personal gain. They make me feel wanted. They give me a chance to cope with my midlife crisis. And I love that they don't want to be committed to me. Yes. And all I will give them in return is allowing them to rub my hemorrhoid cream in for me. Yay! I'm sorry, that was ageist. Hemorrhoids are not exclusive to old people. Anyone can get hemorrhoids except for me. I'm immune. Be safe out there. There's many reasons why I worry about young women who are dating older men. One of them is not realizing that there probably is a reason why older women do not want to be with these men, why women in their age range are not really a possibility or option, and why they have to go seeking for younger girls, especially freshly 18-year-old girls. And this is including inside Hollywood and outside of Hollywood. No matter how different we normal people are from celebrities, how different our lifestyles are, our careers, our tax brackets, the size of our houses, when I see another young woman, famous or not, I instantly have empathy for her and I feel connected to her. That sounds weird. We have a shared experience of being a woman, and I'm sure that a lot of young women can relate to this feeling. We all get that gross and disgusting feeling and feel our stomachs drop whenever we walk past a group of men on the sidewalk. We've all been body shamed and catcalled at least once in our lives. We've all been the butt of the joke at one point or another because we are a woman. We have a shared collective experience, and it makes me feel like so compelled to protect another woman, especially one that is younger than me. And I want to emphasize, not in an infantilizing way, not in a, oh my God, they can't take care of themselves kind of way, but in a, I was 17 too once kind of way. And I know that 21-year-old has zero good intentions and is up to no good kind of way. And I feel like that's kind of a universal experience. A lot of times there is a reason that they have to go out and seek younger women who are more naive or not as experienced, who feel special and important and more mature, that they were able to get in a relationship with someone older, like Billie Eilish, for example.
I managed to get my way to a point in my life, to a point where I not only was known by a person that I thought was the hottest alive, but pulled his ass. Are we kidding me? Can we just... round of applause for me.
We'll get to that soon. There's also this other aspect where it's like, okay, they are grown women who can make their own decisions, who they can date, and, you know, if they're of age, then legally they can do whatever they want. It's definitely not necessary to infantilize them at all, but it's concerning with how many women have come forth about their relationships that they have left with a large age gap and realize it was actually a very terrible and toxic situation with a power imbalance, and they want to share their stories and warn other young women about it. I'll give you an example. Demi Lovato with their song 29. The song is written about their ex-boyfriend Wilmer Valderrama. The lyrics are, finally 29, funny just like you were at the time, thought it was a teenage dream, just a fantasy, but was it yours or was it mine? 17, 29. Which is exactly how old they were when they got into a relationship with him. They were 17 and he was 29. It's also noted that Wilmer dated Minnie Moore when he was 20 and she was 16, and also claimed that he was in a relationship with Lindsay Lohan when she was 17 and he was 24. So it's kind of a pattern. Phoebe Bridgers also has the very popular song Motion Sickness about her relationship with Ryan Adams. On Motion Sickness, Bridgers sings about how an older man has caused her distress in the form of what she describes as an emotional motion sickness, explaining how he built her up and broke her heart, eventually leaving her behind. In a 2019 article from the New York Times, Bridgers and other artists came forward and described Adams as physically, sexually, and emotionally abusive, noting that he used his influence as a popular musician to control young female collaborators and rising musicians. Phoebe was around 20 years old and Ryan was around 40 years old. Whenever news breaks that a young celebrity is with a much older man, their fans tend to worry a lot, especially on the internet. Immediately, I think of Olivia Rodrigo, who just turned 18 not too long ago. Unfortunately, there's many instances where the rapper Drake was caught interacting with young celebrities, like texting Millie Bobby Brown when she was only 14 years old, and Billie Eilish when she was 17 years old. I think in situations like Billie Eilish's, where she is 21 now, dating a 31-year-old man, Jesse Rutherford, I do understand why fans are concerned, because I'm also concerned. When her fans watch a documentary where she was very open about her relationship when she was still underage, 17, 16 years old, dating a man in his 20s who treated her terribly, a very toxic and abusive relationship, and very open and candid within her documentary. And then going on to write a song like Power and doing a lot of press about how important the song was to her and the meaning behind it. Especially in her case, she was talking about older men in the music industry. Fans will be concerned. And normally, I am the first person to be like, hey, parasocial relationships, you don't know this person. You are simply just a fan of them. You don't know this girl or her life or her relationship. I do understand the concern because that aspect of her life has been opened up so much. People resonated with the struggle of that. People resonated with her music. People resonated watching the documentary and seeing how I resonated with it. And they're like, holy shit, I too have been in this position as like my favorite fucking pop star, where an older man has abused his power over me. And so I completely understand why fans then go on about Billie once again being in a position where she's dating a much older man. A man that she met when she was underage and she was a fan. A man whose band was her first concert when she was 12 years old. I think the concern about the power dynamic that's there, especially after the Vanity Fair interview, I think it's justified. And I can only hope that she's in a good and safe position and has people around her. Even her brother Phineas was like, she's her own person and she's an adult and is capable of making her own decisions. Absolutely. But I think you can also be worried and care for someone even though that they can make their own decisions. If my friend now started seeing a guy who is 10 years older than us, I would also be like concerned. I'd be like, what the fuck is your motive? Like, what's your reasoning? What do you want from my friend? Leave her alone. So then it's like, okay, what's an appropriate age gap then? People love to use this little math formula where it's like divide your age by 2 and then add 7. So like if you're 40 years old, divided by 2, that's 20, and plus 7, then it's 27. Okay, you can date a 27-year-old. In my personal opinion, if you have to start Googling like, okay, is my relationship an okay age gap, and start fucking doing math and shit, I think you have bigger fish to fry. I don't know, just like critical thinking skills. And it's crazy that people are like, oh my God, these women, they're like grown women. They can make their own decision. She's a grown woman. Then that same woman who is like, 19 years old, 20 years old, can date a much older man, but can't buy a drink in the United States. Can't buy a drink. Can't buy cigarettes or enter a club or rent a car, book a hotel room, go into a casino. Can't teach someone how to drive, but you can date a much older man. And taking that right away would be a huge disadvantage for all the people who set those laws into place. So anyway, I'm not sitting here like being like, the law should change, but my girl's a lawyer. Taking the legality out of things. Let's remove that right now, okay? Because I honestly don't give a fuck what's legal. There's many good things that are illegal in this world, and there's many bad things that are legal in this world. I'm now talking on a personal connection with people on a personal level, not on technicalities. Well, like, oh, you're 18 and like he's 40 and it's like, it's whatever because it's technically legal. I'm not talking about that. I think it's very valid and fair for people to get cautious and worrisome when they see someone get into a large age gap relationship. I saw a comment on a video recently and it like pieced it perfectly. Age gap relationships aren't inherently bad, but it's just so easy for them to go wrong. The power imbalance of any kind is breeding grounds for potential abuse, even unintentional. And unfortunately, many times these relationships can be predatory. Age gap relationships are also more likely for intimate partner violence. My friend also brought up a good point that these people who are seeking out much younger women would probably be a bad partner to any age range, honestly. I know people from high school who were horrible to their significant others, toxic, abusive towards their partners in high school. And as we got older, I saw that they still continued to date high schoolers because they know it's a hell of a lot easier to manipulate someone who still literally has homework than an older person who is aware of what they deserve and know what red flags to look out for. And this isn't to say that age gaps with older women and younger men don't exist and that they can't be predatory. Let's take Aaron Taylor Johnson, for example. He's in the news a lot recently because of fucking drama with Joey King, whatever. Honestly, if he's out of that relationship, good for him. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Sam Taylor Wood first met on the set of the 2009 film Nowhere Boy, in which Aaron, then 18 years old, plays a young John Lennon. Sam, then 42, directed the film. In 2008, Sam announced that she was separating from her husband, Jay Jopling, after 11 years. 18 years old, and got married to his director, was 42. This one was actually pretty shocking to me. Harry Styles and Nicole Scherzinger. According to the Daily Mail, Styles previously had a tryst with the Pussycat Dolls' Nicole Scherzinger, who, if you remember, was a judge on the X Factor when One Direction was created in 2013, and the ages of the two singers while in this rendezvous was taking place. Styles was reportedly 19 while Scherzinger was 37. These relationships are a complete abuse of power. These are your mentors, your boss, someone that you're supposed to be able to look up to and confide in, especially when they were at the start of their careers. That is not someone that you should have to worry about grooming you and taking advantage of you and the power dynamic there. I think another big thing that's very important to talk about when it comes to like age gaps and relationships is life stages. One may be in very different life stages from another person, and it may just not be compatible. A 25-year-old may have her own business and be financially independent and get along great with a 35-year-old who also has his own business and is financially independent. But a 20-year-old college sophomore student doesn't have too much in common with a 40-year-old divorced dad of two. Does she? Do you see what I mean? That's why some relationships with like no age gap at all don't work out. Sometimes life stages can really genuinely rock a relationship and make people compatible or not. If I was single and looking for a hot and sexy lover, I don't think that I would work out with someone who is not in the same life stage as I am right now. Like I said earlier, I'm in no way a therapist or an expert or a relationship expert. Nothing like that. I hope nothing more that if you're in a relationship that is healthy and works out for you, whether it's an age gap relationship or not. Okay, time for a personal story. So I lost a friend due to an age gap relationship. They didn't die, but they're not in my life anymore. And it changed my friend's personality completely and made them unrecognizable. Who they were as a person and a friend completely changed once they started dating this person. Their morals changed. They said some very hurtful things and did some very hurtful things. Things that this person didn't do in all of our years of friendship. And this was quite a hefty, large age gap. And I miss that person so terribly. And I think of them often, and I hope that they're okay because I have lost contact with this person because of this relationship. So of course, I am a little cautious when it comes to my friends entering these kinds of relationships because I saw firsthand how some of these power dynamics can turn out. I can see how people may be taken advantage of with the place in their life that they're currently in and the state of the world. And it may not always lead to the healthiest relationship. Obviously, not every age gap relationship is going to turn out like this. I'm specifically talking about the relationships where young women are often preyed upon by older men because they are seen as weaker and more naive and more gullible and whatever else fucking men think of us. And I truly don't care what people do as long as they're not hurting themselves or anyone else. But I do feel like a sense of responsibility to talk about something that I'm passionate about and that is very important to me and means a lot to me. Something that I've experienced, something that I've witnessed with my own eyes cause harm. And I don't care about like what's legal and the technicalities, and I don't care. Like, I really don't care. I really don't want to hear about the law when I already don't understand your morals of like dating an 18-year-old when you are like in your fucking 30s or 40s, you know? I don't care about that. I care about women. And I know a majority of my audience is young women, which is a demographic that's like mostly negatively affected by these age gap relationships. In Hollywood and also outside of it. Anyway, if I can give like any insight to young women without taking away your autonomy or feeling of choice, or like I'm like some old red-headed little witch that's giving you unsolicited advice, which is like definitely what I'm doing. That's what I do every week. I'm telling you right now, if you are very young, I don't even have to say a specific age, because if you feel like this is targeted towards you, then it probably is. And an older man shows interest in you, especially if you're underage, especially if you're in high school, especially if your age ends in teen. That man has no business to be talking to you. There is a reason why people his own age do not want him. And unfortunately, I've experienced this myself. When we're very young and an older man shows interest in us, we think like, oh my God, he must like me because I'm like special and mature and I'm different and I'm like totally cooler than women his own age. Or like, we have more in common than you think. Or like, oh my God, he like acts like my age. He's like a little kid at heart, which I've like heard before. I'm telling you right now, that man is a creep. And not in like a sexy Radiohead creep kind of way. Like creepy in a Woody Allen, Donald Trump, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Jerry Seinfeld, Robin Thicke, Kaia, Wilmer Valderrama, Leonardo DiCaprio kind of way. And that's really bad. Anyway, thanks for sticking around for a little bit more of a serious topic, but I feel like it's important to talk about. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please make sure that you leave it a like, because that helps me out so much. Also comment if there's any advice that you want to add to anyone else who may be reading the comments at this time, because there might be someone who is younger out there seeking advice or may need words of encouragement. Just saying. Make sure that you subscribe if you want to be nasty. If not, you're disgusting. Also, make sure every bell notifications on so you know every single one of my posts, or else you are gross. If you want to follow me on my other social media, Instagram, Twitter, Depop, Spotify, it's just at Nicole Rafiee, and if you want to follow me on my TikTok, it's at Nikki Nasty. Anyway, I'm gonna go now and sit and think about my decisions, because I really titled this video, "She's Too Young for You, Bro." Anyway, bye!